Opening statement from Coach.
Obviously thrilled we won. Thought that the start of the game, I don't know if we were tight or we were just bad or we were both, but they got up 14-0, and our guys just hung in. The energy was really good in the timeouts. We weren't panicked, which is really key when you get off to a bad start like that, and give A&T a lot of credit. They made some hard shots early, took the action right to us. And then for the last, 34 minutes of the game, it was like 76-47 us, so we can't play any better than that. That's a good team over there that we had some success with today. So thrilled we won. Obviously, the guy sitting here next to me is a major reason why.
Questions in the room? Raise your hand. We will get the microphone to you. Oh, see, here we go. John, sorry.
Hi, Coach. John Titel from Hoops HD. What on earth did you tell them when you called the timeout and you were down 10-0? Because it really seemed like it changed the whole game.
Well, John, they don't listen to me that often anyway, so I don't know if it matters. We were trying to talk about, the next play mentality, which everybody talks about, but here was the good thing. I'm talking to them, but the key was Tyler and Frankie are doing the talking a lot of times. And I think when your leadership is out on the floor, it really helps you. I thought that their pressure early was a real factor. They sped us up a little bit, but we got a couple good shots that we didn't make. And for us to be able to hang in there through that and persevere, I was really proud of them. I mean, because it's hard. We're on the road, and you got, the last time that we were in a tournament game was during COVID. I mean, most of our locker room has not participated in a tournament game. We try to talk about the intensity of a tournament game and things like that, but obviously start didn't go well. It'll need to be much better tomorrow.
Questions in the room? In front to Chris, and then second row.
This is Chris Idell from Herb FM Radio in Baltimore. Coach, last week you played Charleston on the road. Tough game last weekend. So you already played them. So what do you need to do to play them tomorrow night? And have you seen anything differently?
Well, it's their last game they've played. I'm going to assume since they beat us as bad as they did, they won't make any game plan adjustments. I assume they're going to do what they did last week. Now, the good news is we can be a lot better than we were. We had some issues with Tyler got in foul trouble, which was a big factor in the game. I thought we were really heavy-legged last Saturday, and you can't afford to be that with Charleston. They're fantastic. As good a team as there is in the country, it'll be criminal if they're not in the NCAA tournament, whether they win this weekend or not, what they've done up to this point. And if you just watch them, and we played, Florida and West Virginia, and, they passed the eye test. I mean, the speed at which they play is a big concern. Transition defense is going to be an issue for us tomorrow. We really got to do an elite job of getting back. But they're really they're a pretty complete team. They scored inside. Their guards shoot it. We're going to need to play a lot better. I don't think when you get beat like we did last week is necessarily game planning that went awry. We were step slow on everything, and we got a quick turnaround here. Obviously, we don't play a ton of guys. Our rotation's what it is. It's thin. It's been thin all year, and we'll have to play with a lot of energy tomorrow to get those guys. That's for sure.
Questions in the room? Anything else? Kyle.
For both Coach and Frankie, you guys are the last of the newcomer program standing here at the tournament. What was this season like in terms of adjusting to the CAA, and how do you feel like the progress of the program has gone over the course of the last few months?
No, that's a great question. I mean, one of our goals, quite honestly, was to be the last new team still standing, and we'd like it to be a lot further than the quarterfinals. But with that, when you come into a new league with multiple teams, you take a little pride in wanting to have the best year of those folks. And the league is terrific. I think everybody knows that. I mean, the coaches are good, and the athleticism and the size, particularly of the perimeter guys, is much bigger and much better than the league we came from. That's a significant change. And then it's just the depth of the league. The league we were in, there were some games you could win that you didn't have to play particularly well to win, and in the CAA, if you do not play well, it's a loss. And I don't care where you're playing and who you're playing. The home court is important, but it's not enough to just play average and win. So I mean, our roster. We've got a handful of guys that are showing that they can play in this league and play at a high level. And we had, Tyler was all conference, and I thought Frankie, I don't know that there's another guy in the nation that led a league in rebounding and led a league in double doubles and wasn't some type of all league. I know he's used that, for some motivation. We'll need him to use it for some motivation tomorrow. But, not a lot of guys going out and getting 30 and 16. It says a lot about him. It's just who he is and character. But go ahead.
The league it's a good league. So, pretty much from a player perspective, I would just try and tell our team just like every single game, we got to come ready to compete and match everyone else's energy, because every team 1 through 14 or 13, they all can go and they're all very talented. So it's just every night we got to be consistent with how we play.
Hey, Coach. Herb Stewart from HBCU Digital Network. A&T has been really, really good in terms of pressuring and getting people in transition and speeding them up. What did you guys do specifically in the second half to really speed them up? Because they went, I think, 0 for 10 from 3, and they really had problems moving the ball around.
Yeah, they've got a good basketball team, and they've got really good perimeter players. I mean, when you look at Woods, who's an all-league player and plays like it, Watson didn't shoot the ball well, but in the game they beat us at their place, Watson was the MVP and was the best player in the gym that day. And then, obviously, Horton's a mid-40% three-point shooter. So we tried to get to those guys and make them take hard ones. That said, we were a little fortunate that they missed some shots that they usually make. And I think that, anytime that you take a guy who's a really good shooter and a good scorer and they don't play well, there's multiple factors. It's the defense. It's the guys working. We put some smaller guys on those guys to try to have more speed into them. But, if we played the same two teams tomorrow, I don't think they would shoot like that. We caught them a little bit on a good day for us, and we're fortunate. But that's a good basketball team with a lot of talent and well coached. I was – anytime you get a game in March, right, the other team's going to be capable of ending your season, that we weren't, overly thrilled that that's who we drew. I mean, I had a lot of respect for them. I thought they were really good, and they were elite early, and then they just kind of went cold, which was the key for us, because then they weren't able to press us as often because they didn't score as much in the second half. No problem.
Thanks, guys. One last question in front, and then we have to wrap up.
Matt Truccanelli from Herb FM Sports Radio. So Frankie, go ahead and talk about your night. You scored 30 points and everything. So talk about that, and also, Coach, just talk about how you guys were able to overcome with that 14-point deficit in the beginning, and just really how the players were able to overcome it, and all that. And also, go ahead and just talk about maybe some keys for tomorrow that you're going to have to do to win tomorrow's game.
Got it. Go ahead, Frank.
Today I just felt pretty confident. Everything I played at my own pace. I didn't really get sped up. We did a good job of cutting off the ball and finding gaps. And then my teammates trusted me to make shots. They were kind of like looking to feed the hot hand. And then we got a couple good play calls. So we just were able to put me in my spots where I could produce. I was able to hit shots today. So.
I felt like early we were tight, and we were trying not to be. And then I thought that Frankie and Tyler in the huddle helped the coaches kind of get some younger guys settled in, which is tough because they got to be out there worried about their assignments too, and what we need from them. But I thought the leadership was really good, and it was kind of characteristic of our year. We've had to overcome obstacles all year. I mean, we've had more injuries on our team than the other 12 teams in the league added up, if you went and counted games missed. So we've had a really a year with a lot of adversity, and so us being down early and having to overcome some adversity, wasn't impossible, I guess, today anyway. And our guys really hung in there and battled. We had great practice yesterday, which I think factored into today's success. For tomorrow, we got to make sure that we take care of the ball better when the first time we played them, we turned it over and just had silly turnovers. I mean, just threw them the ball. So we got to make sure we do a better job of that. Transition defense, they really hurt us in transition defense. And then they offensive rebounded. And all of those things are kind of speed of the game things. The game will need to be at a slower pace tomorrow for us to win. We're not going to win a game in the 80s or 90s against them. It's not going to happen. We got to find a way to wrestle the speed of the game and get it slowed down. Good. Okay.
All right,
Thanks.
thanks, guys. Answer to John's question before we go. The last 30-point, 15 rebound game in the championship, 1986 quarterfinals, 32 points, 19 rebounds by David Robinson. So, all right, we'll start with an opening statement from Coach.
Tale of two halves. First half, lead at halftime with 3-point lead. We got as much as 14. They fought back, came down to 3, and in the second half, we shot 14% from three-point range, 29% from the field, 59% from free throws, and they beat us plus 18. We couldn't hit shots. You know what I'm saying? We had looks, we had layups at the rim, and we just simply couldn't hit open shots. We went cold. And they got hot, 61% and 63% and 90% free throw line. With the way things were going with us not hitting shots, a little bit of frustration, the defensive end, wasn't as great as it was in the first half because of the frustration of not being able to knock down an open shot.
Questions in the room? Second row.
Hey, Coach. Herb Seward from HBCU Digital Network. You mentioned the second half, the very beginning of the second half. It seemed like there was a little bit of disjointedness and discontinuity in that offense. I know from the stats, you guys, I think, went 0 for 10 from 3. Was there anything specifically defensively that Stony Brook was doing to really get you guys out of playing?
No, not really. Not the normal defense we've seen the first 2 games. 2 for 14. A lot of those were wide open looks. They just didn't fall for us in the second half. But the last month of February is the month and going into this tournament, we've shot under 40% from the field almost every game. You know what I'm saying? And beforehand, we was one of the top teams in field goal percentage and 3-point percentage, but it's just kind of faltered as the season wore on.
Anything else in the room? Front row on the end, and then Chris, and then Kyle, and then back row.
Luke Williams, Black Collar Sports Page, Coach Shumpert, 14-0 start. Did you think that would last? What do you think they did, and what did they do in the second half to outscore you 48 to 45-30?
Shot 61% from field goal, 63% from 3-point range. Now, when we went up 14-0, we know it's a game of runs. We knew they were going to fight back. Every team in this league is going to fight to the end. So we got a 14-0, and then they made their run, and they kind of evened it out. And like I said, we came in with a halftime lead, and they just went. 61% and 63% is outrageous. You know what I'm saying? That is really good shooting. So they just got hot at the right time.
Coach, Chris Heidel from Herbert Radio in Baltimore. Just talk about your first season in the CAA and the difference between being in the MEAC for a while and playing in this conference.
It's a huge difference. This is a real competitive, good, exciting league that night in and night out, you don't know who's going to beat you. Every game was competitive, high level of basketball. I think this conference does a really good job of marketing and things of that nature as well. In the MEAC, wasn't as physical. In the Big South, the conference wasn't as physical. This conference right here is physical. Big, you got big guards. 1 through 5 is big. Like I said, it's really physical. And losing what we lost during the season really hurt. Us to be able to match the physicality in some of the games that we played in.
Thank you. Melvin Harris with the Anti-Register. Can you just talk about Tyrese Elliott's just impact throughout this game? He's a freshman, and he just hasn't got a lot of time over the season. So can you just talk about how he played tonight?
He played great. He played great. He was one of the few bright spots that we actually had. Him and Cam, both of them played really well. Tyrese is a guy, man. I mean, just a couple of games ago, he played 28 minutes against Townsend State. I mean, he has his flashes. I mean, against Hotspur, he had the game-winning. He had the last 5 points down the stretch to beat for us to beat Hotspur. So I mean, he's an up-and-coming freshman that's going to be really, really good down the line for us. Just it's just about maturing in which he has done over the past couple of months, and going into his sophomore year, man, I think he's going to be really, really special.
Wally Pitt, HBC Game Day. First was for Coach. What do you think? You guys got a lot of guys coming back, a lot of guys who this is their first time playing in an A&T uniform. What do you guys think you're going to need to do next year, add to the team personnel-wise or whatever, to make a better run in the tournament next year?
We got to get bigger and physical. I mean, obviously, we got 2 guys, 6'11" and 6'9". Both of them 260 that hadn't played this year. So I mean, we got to get bigger. We got to get bigger and got to get stronger. One of the things I think that hurt us was our strength down the stretch. You know what I'm saying? That was big. You know what I'm saying? As the season wears on, if consistency of like being in the weight room and things of that nature, you got to in order to sustain the physicality of this league.
And I got one for Cam. Coming for JUCO, from a JUCO player to being all conference, what was the competition level like, and just what was it like for you coming into this level and playing in a mid-major like this?
Coming from JUCO, it's rough down there, so I feel like it helped me. Like, it helped me get smarter. Like, to play JUCO, you gotta last. Like, it's who lasts the longest. And coming here, I was putting 2 and 2 together, learning as the year goes, learning the HBCU lifestyle, NCAT lifestyle, and it just made me who I am. And I was just blessed to put the uniform on.